Hi guys, best regards from Ingolstadt. I have heard that you entered the Kamel GT Championship this year in the good old GTO car, so I wish you best of luck and a lot of success.
Best greetings to all drivers from the Audi GTO 90 Championship. Good success.
The Kamel Series makes what is quickly becoming its traditional return to the Charlotte Roval. Taking more inspiration from classic IMSA than they are modern NASCAR, this fast and tight circuit tends to put on a good show for fans and drivers alike. However, this season has started with a very high bar for excitement. Will this place deliver? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 3 of the iRacing Kamel GT Series, and you'll see it all live here on the global SimRacing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Adam Lindgren. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. While Charlotte's road course has been around for quite some time, this latest iteration is still very fresh. To help educate our viewers on it, let's head over to our track guide. Welcome to Charlotte Motor Speedway. Until a few years ago, most race fans probably didn't know that this track had a road course layout. Thanks to a huge revamp to prepare for NASCAR to race on it, the Roval is now a top-tier facility. Situated in the northeast corner of Charlotte, North Carolina, there's a whopping 6 different road course layouts. They range from just under a mile to a little over 2 miles in length. Like most Rovals, the high-speed banking on the oval portion makes up the majority of the lap length. However, one unique feature that isn't often seen on other Rovals is that this track includes a decent amount of elevation change. Passing is often difficult, and the 2 chicanes on the oval portion are notorious for their unforgiving curbing. Lesser-powered cars find overtakes a bit easier with the slipstream on the banking, but anything with some oomph is going to have to work very hard to get by their rivals. If anything, attrition often rears its ugly head, and simply keeping the car pointed forward and clean will net you a good finish. While the debate rages on among gearheads on whether oval cars should race here, one thing is for sure, it provides some wild action and almost never disappoints the fans in the stands. I really do love what they've done with this facility. It makes it a fantastic road racing track. But Adam, what are we expecting today with Kamel?
Well, Kamel's got a very interesting thing going on today. Charlotte Motor Speedway is famous throughout NASCAR as being many teams' home track, and the Roval is its newest addition to the fun. This 2.28 mile or 3.67 kilometer 18-turn hybrid track feels more like a street course than anything, with challenging elevation changes, decreasing radius turns, and barriers very close to the track. This will be one of the Audi's slowest and most challenging tracks of the season, with numerous unbanked medium-speed corners. The infamous Audi push will be in great effect here, making the front tires scream for relief by the time they get back to the banking. Watch for the Audi drivers to stay single file till they get back to NASCAR 1 and 2, then use the draft to attempt to pass into the chicanes. The Nissans will be roaring around this course, however, with their downforce giving them a considerable edge on pace, maybe one of the greatest we've seen this season. They'll need to be careful of the bumpy infield surface and to avoid the sausage curves on the oval portion. Multiclass will pretty much be all on the Nissans to be wary of Audis drifting wide through the many extended corners and when they spread out 2 and 3 wide on the banking. I'm expecting a fair bit of chaos today, Joe.
Yeah, I kind of am too, but chaos is kind of the MO of this series. Now, why don't we take a look at the championships, because those can be just as chaotic, starting with the prototypes, of course. Justin Albrecht, however, he's taken 2 wins, so not as much chaos for him. He has stepped up his game. He's looking for that championship over Fabian Gerber. Right now, he's got the edge, but it's only by 8 points. Fabian's still quick, just not quick enough lately. Houghton, Tobias Gerber, and Laust Olsen rounding out your top 5 with a very tight fight for 4th place between Tobias and Laust. Laust continuing to show he has found speed in recent seasons. Let's take a look at the GTO Championship as well.
Yeah, no problem, Joe. Phil Lake, actually, I'm going to take a look at the bottom of the board first. Phil Lake is the only driver on this board with a win in a pole. Dennis Neidhart has actually slipped from this board down to 6th place, with Phil Lake taking over that 5th position. They have Hideki Koivisto in 4th, who is right behind Andrea Albertinelli, and then Reed Miller, Mr. Consistency, up there in 2nd. And Juco Lascala, after a couple of good races, currently holds our points lead in GTO. Quite a shuffled field, Joe.
Well, I'm expecting things to shuffle around during the race as well, why don't we explain to you exactly how this race is going to go. We are in round 3, as we mentioned, and of course they have a 12-round season, with this being official racing that they are using. The races are 40 minutes except for a couple rounds. They always have an endurance round at 60 minutes, but today is your standard format. It is open setup, and there are no free repairs. That basically means if they get any sort of damage, they don't have a spare car waiting for them in the pits. They have to come in, get that repaired. Considering there's no scheduled pit stops, that is going to be a big hindrance. They also have an incident limit. They will get a stop and go at 17 incidents, and at 25 incidents, they will be removed from the track. It is an immediate disqualification, unfortunately. Right now, qualifying going on, and up at the top, Enrique Banbella. That is a new name who seems to have quite a bit of speed, because he's got half a second over Fabian Gerber in the prototypes. But Dennis Neidhart, he's back in it once again. Let's see if he can get up to the front and see if he could take a second win.
Yeah, Enrique Bambala that's a very interesting development here, to see a driver come in who we haven't seen before in these sessions and really take a very commanding pole right now. Almost half a second, like you said. Dennis Neidhart, though, ahead of Phil Lake by more than 7/10 of a second, so that's a quite significant margin. I know a lot of these drivers have struggled here with this Roval this week. It's been a challenging thing to try and tackle, especially in the Audis, as we watch Fabio Lotti go across and make a 1:15.95.
See what Neidhart's second lap is going to involve. He's coming through the backstretch chicane, which mercifully has been altered since the last time they came here with the Camel Series. So no longer do they have that very, very fast chicane that NASCAR ran in the first year. And then coming up to the final one, this can be tricky, coming off that banking, getting this car woed up, really hopping it over the turtles. And then the 1:16.5 becomes a 1:16.4. So he increases his gap to 0.8 of a second over Phil Lake.
Yeah, so that's quite a gap that he has. Phil Lake has already taken his 2 laps, so we're going to take a look at Hideki Koivisto as he's coming around the banking now. Like you said, this new chicane is a very challenging profile, and so is the banking. Take a look at that. That's how much he can see out of the car. He cannot see up the banking, so it's going to be very challenging for him as he comes into this. Look how much of a turn it is nowadays. That makes the exit a lot easier, but it means that if you flip those barriers, you're going to lose a ton of time. The curve, rather.
Unfortunately, Koivisto's already taken both of his laps, but a driver who has not is Jamie Hall, and he's just coming across to take his first time in his Nissan. A 108 flat is going to put him in 7th. That's a little far down for Jamie. We're used to seeing him put it up amongst the top 5, so I wonder if some of these new faces are causing him to have to reevaluate and push that little bit harder. He's back to the infield section, and then it'll be onto the banking pretty soon.
Yeah, it's interesting to see Jamie Hall and Michael Houghton both take up the Nissan for the season. I think that they were a little frustrated with how their seasons went last season in the Audis, so it's awesome to see them do that. But man, you can see just how much these Nissans are skittering around in the infield, lose like 4-wheel drifts almost on this turbo-powered rear-wheel driven car, I mean, that is a challenge to keep track of. And so it's amazing to see these fast drivers really tackle this place.
I mean, is it any surprise that they're drifting around? It's 105 degrees on the track surface right now. It's a pretty hot day out here in North Carolina. You can see the temperatures with a little bit of wind as well. La Scala, with his last lap, looks like goes about a tenth quicker, but Jamie Hall goes a 0.2 quicker, and that unfortunately does not take him up the order. He stays in 7th.
Well, that's unfortunate for him, but we're going to take a look at Hideki Koivisto as he's still driving around trying to get his times in. I believe he's already gotten...
Yeah, he's got both of them in. Johnny Bell hasn't, though. He's just finishing his second lap, and that's not going to be any faster, so Johnny's going to stay down in 17th, it seems. Do we have anybody else yet to set a time here? Let's see.
We have a couple of drivers who have yet to set times, but no one who's out there currently.
Yeah, I think that's it. And with 3 seconds left, that means our grid has been set. Let's go through that starting order. It is going to be Enrique Banbella on the pole. Can he take the win, though, with that half-second gap? It's a lot more than speed in the Camel Series, and we know that well, but does he? Fabian Gerber starts in second next to him. Artu Yamaki will be in P3. Then it's Nick Mukanos in fourth, with Michael Houghton starting in P5. The outside of row 3 has Tobias Gerber, the brother of Fabian, starting in 6th. Jamie Hall, we saw him qualify in 7th. Laust Olsen, P8, but he's good in the race usually, so he could move up the order. Stephen Warkup will be P9 with Fabian Jungbuth rounding out your top 10. Martin Krajcik, 11th, a little far down, but he's also found some pace lately, managing to try and avoid trouble. Heitor Sintes Guindo will be in 12th. Antonio Alvarez will start P13, and he'll be flanked by Pablo Suarez to his outside. Then it's Alexis Tapiovico in 15th with Nicholas Weatherby in 16th position. Johnny Bell, we saw his final lap, wound up 17th for him, and Marco Kika in P18. Then it's Guilherme Kramer in 19th and Juha Ihalainen in 20th. Pascal Mikula starts 21st. A couple drivers did not qualify in the Nissans. Kitty Ingstrom, Carlos Fonseca, Ryan Lang, and Jeremy Swain.
Dennis Neidhart is going to take pole in the Audis with Juko La Scala, our first place driver in the championship right now, lining up outside of him. Phil Lake down in 5th in the championship is going to line up in 3rd position with Rob Olenek in the 4th position. Then we have Andrea Albertinelli in the 5th position with Reed Miller starting off 6th. Bryce Calusa is going to start off in the 7th position with Fabio Lotti in 8th. Alice Scurry lining up in 9th position. We saw how strong she was at Sebring with Mika Kivapuro in the 9th position. Then we have Jordan Robinson in 10th. Hideki Koivisto 11th. Miguel Alcalde in 12th. Simo Raba 13th. Christian Lucente in 14th position. Then we have Mauricio Sousa Silva in 15th. And then Pablo Rongo did not set a qualifying time.
All right, we have started off on the pace lap here. We're going to take a full lap around, and then the Porsche will duck in and release the Nissans to take off on this 40-minute race for round 3. Now, usually we talk a lot about traffic being a big thing around here. With the banking, is it going to be a problem at this track, Adam, or do you expect that those long portions will allow them to get around each other easier?
Well, one interesting thing we saw during practice is that the Nissans have actually taken to, when they're dealing with a lot of Audi traffic on the banking, have taken to the apron to try and get around them and stay away from the trouble. And I think that that's the best strategy that they can have. That being said, going through the infield is going to be extremely challenging for the Nissans to stay away from the Audis, especially when they get lined up, because the corners are so tight and the Audis are going to drift wide at pretty much every corner. Another interesting thing to note is while in the real world we have this road course started by them cutting the final chicane and starting off in line, that is not the case here in iRacing. They will have to take the final chicane to the green flag, so that could stretch things out early.
Yeah, that could complicate things, especially for the Audis, who are going to be essentially at full tilt by the time they come into that final chicane. So hopefully it's not too messy. Starting the first lap before they reach that start-finish line. You can see they were just about to head on to the oval portion where the Nissans are now. and onto that back stretch.
Yeah, Joe, the Audis will be just coming through the first chicane by the time that the Nissans start their race. So things are going to get pretty stretched out in the Audis in the back of the field. But expect the Nissans to be very strong and very quick as they go through the first set of corners.
All right, up through the back stretch chicane. Another place where you could see, oh, and Enrique's and a couple people are just going to cut the chicane. Now, are you able to do that without a penalty on the pace lap? Because I've never seen that before on iRacing.
I'm pretty sure you are, but what it's going to do is it's going to create a little bit of chaos as they try and slot back into their positions. So it looks like everyone's sorted things out now, but yeah, that was a little bit of a visual oddity for sure.
Now, I wonder if they were testing to see if they could cut this chicane here at the start. Let's see what Enrique does. I mean, if it does work for him and everybody else takes the chicane, then we could see a few people losing some positions here at the start, just through some cleverness from the number 25. No, he is going to take the chicane. Okay, so as he pulls off through, green flag waves as he starts to get on the accelerator, out of it. Everybody else having to tiptoe, trying to get up to speed. So far, so good, but they come down into heartburn turn, and this is another danger zone with it tightening up on the exit. As they come through turn 1, I'm not seeing any problems thus far. Let's head back to the Audis.
Well, we've actually had some interesting developments because Hugo Lascala got a really good start, but Dennis Neidhart's been able to get it back through Heartburn Turn, and they're actually right up to the back of the Nissans already, who are already having problems. So we're going to see some very interesting multi-class action if these fast guys in the Audis catch up to the back of those Nissans, Jim.
Yeah, so far, no dramas at least. So the Nissans haven't had a wreck right in front of them, but if they do, I think Neidhart's going to be right up on it as a battle for second in GTO, with Lascala being challenged by Phil Lake, but that's not going to quite work out. He goes for the over-under on to the oval, and that's actually going to work out quite better, and he gets underneath him.
Lascala is struggling significantly through the infield, especially when side by side with other drivers. He's got Rob Olnick now looking to the inside. Sums up with Lascala's car. He's really struggling on pace right now, Jim.
I wonder if his tires are not up to temperature quite yet, and getting through, Olenek manages to peak into third place. Now getting into the slipstream, Yuko trying to see if he can get this one back, but he's going to have to go the long way around to the banking to the inside of the chicane, though, as they get on the binders coming from a long way back. He backs out of it, and so Lascala settles for fourth.
Lascala settles for fourth, and Alice Scurry has made a great over-under move on Fabio Lotti to get past now in that 8th position. So Alice, takes significant amount of curb there. She clobbered that curb, Joe.
My goodness. I wondered if these drivers are going to have to watch out for that. And there is a little bit of damage on the nose from that. We don't know how much is underneath the car on top of it. Now, aerodynamics usually not a big deal in these GTOs, so we'll have to watch out and see if this affects things. Back in second place in the prototypes, Fabian Gerber being chased by Ardo Iamaki. If you're wondering what happened to Enrique, well, he's almost 2 seconds up the road already, so he's making good on that qualifying pace. And you might just catch flashes of him here and there on the screen, but otherwise he's off like a shot.
Yeah, that really makes me want to try and see what Justin Albrecht could do. It looks like we had Nicholas Weatherby go around there.
Our first victim of one of the chicanes. And I'm trying to see. Yeah, he just outbraked himself, so don't need a replay on that. A single car incident. He falls to the back of the Nissan field.
Similar incident with Juha Ialainen, who also had a similar braking incident there.
Let's get back to the battle for second, third, and fourth here in the prototypes. Gerber's starting to run away, but Ardo Iamaki still has Michael Houghton and Nick Mucanos chasing him. You can see they've gapped out a little bit, which could come in handy once they get to the lap traffic, which should be pretty soon. We also had a spin from Carlos Fonseca, another driver that managed to get it going after a single car incident.
Yeah, quite a few drivers, especially in the Nissans, having trouble with getting those rear tires to connect with the road. That's something we're going to see a lot. Oh, Michael Houghton has to take to the inside of the corner there. Unfortunate moment for him. He's going to have a slowdown penalty. He's going to have to serve here.
Yeah, he's going to lose out to Mukanos and Jamie Hall taking a peek, but now he's got it back up to pace. So Jamie can't manage to get through. Back into the infield one more time. How close are they to the lap traffic? I'm actually kind of curious. Looks like it's
Oh
gonna be
no!
maybe
We've had
another
an
2 laps.
incident in the GTOs between Alice Scurry and Mika Kivapuro. This was coming into the chicanes. Kivapuro has some significant damage.
Take a look at how this unfolded. And I think this was a case of, looks like, Iati got into the inside of Kivipuro, and then he was slow at the apex, so poor Alice, unfortunately, just was heading right in and not aware that there was going to be a slow car right where she wanted to put it.
So Alice down to 10th now, and with significant steering rack damage, so it looks like she's got some massive toe damage on that Audi, so it's going to be a tough day for her.
Watch on board here and see how straight it is. It's holding out okay.
Yeah, but you can see how much
corners.
wheel she has to put into the corners in order to try and get this Audi around, so it's really difficult.
Meanwhile, more problems for some of our prototypes. Jeremy Swain.
And
with
this
a
was
spin in
contact.
the chicane.
This was
Uh-oh.
actually contact. This
Ooh,
was
and that
contact with
Weatherby.
Nicholas Weatherby.
Yeah, Weatherby managed to get side by side, and I don't think Swain realized there was a car there. He almost went up and over with a scoop-like nose on these Nissans.
Yeah, this is something that's very difficult to try and handle, but take a look at this. Nicholas Weatherby gets to the outside, and it just looks like Jeremy Swain didn't realize he was there and took the line as he normally would. And Weatherby just puts him up over the...
That is a bit unfortunate, but I'm glad to see both drivers still continuing on. Let's head back to Phil Lake, because La Scala is... Well, I thought he was close. It looks like he fell back. I guess La Scala must have had an error of his own. Now it's Reed Miller fighting for third instead.
Yeah, and Joe, actually the leaders in the GTPs are starting to cut their way through this Audi field through the top 10, so things are getting very difficult there. We're going to take a look at Enrique Bambala, who's struggling a little bit to get through the traffic. He's lost about a second and a half since starting to deal with the traffic, and Fabian Gerber and Otto Iamaki, who are battling behind him, are closing just a little bit right now.
Boy, even from riding on board in this short period, you can see the brave dives that have to be made from the Nissans in that infield section. Now on to the oval portion. The Audis do get quite a bit of speed going, so he's not gaining as quickly as you would think. It's down in the braking here, right down to about 2 car lengths up to the back of Robinson. As he looks for a way around this black Audi, he goes up to the high side, can easily get through on the first part. Next up is Alice Scurry ahead of him.
Yeah, Alice, who's been struggling, we've seen her struggle quite a bit. You can see the 2 cars behind him, though. That's Ardo Itamaki chasing Fabian Gerber for that second position. And Enrique is really having to make some decisive moves here to get through this Audi traffic.
He certainly wants this win. And, Tobias Gerber is off track in the chicane.
And this was
He made
multi-class
contact with-
action.
It is indeed. Raba. You're going to see that bright chrome car, unfortunately, try to take to the apex just when the number 16 tries to take it as well.
Yeah, and if we stay on this replay, Antonio Alvarez actually had a moment where he got clipped by another car. That was Alexis Tapiavico just right there after this moment.
That sent Gerber down to 11th, by the way, so a number of positions lost for that being so early in the race. There was a slight touch, so I think that car is going to be okay. Ardo Iamaki, as we also look at Michael Houghton and Jamie Hall battling for 5th. Coming through the traffic of Alice Scurry to the inside. Houghton going to be able to get through, but very tight moments. That's Hideki Koivisto up in front of them. Is this going to be another situation like we saw with Gerber? One's going to get through, and 2 is going to get through. Alice Scurry is going to have a chance to try and take advantage of this because Koivisto slowed up a lot with that exchange through the chicane.
Yeah, so this is the challenge that's going to be there for the GTPs and the GTOs. They're all going to have opportunities to make passes, but they have to choose where the traffic is going to happen the most.
And Wow, Van Bella has been slowed up a lot. I'm guessing that's the traffic because look at them sneaking by the GTOs, and Fabian Gerber, who has a lot of experience in this car, now has the bit between his teeth. He's been chased by Ardo Yamaki, who you can see in third. But as we hop on board, they come up to yet more of the traffic. This is Reed Miller up in front of them. Can they sneak through without an interruption? So far, so good through the backstretch chicane. And Enrique is able to duck up to the high side and get around. But now the slipstream actually helping very well for Fabian Gerber. He's going to look to the inside, and in the braking zone, he is very confident coming into the final chicane. He gets the lead away.
A great move from Fabian Gerber. Good job taking advantage of that early jump. He was able to get out of the corner. He's going to have to make his way past Juco La Scala, who's stuck on the outside there. The outside's very slippery around these corners. Enrique gives him a lot of room there, so Juco La Scala making it by, but now Enrique's going to have to worry about Ardo Iamaki before he can really challenge Fabian Gerber for the...
I think we had some sort of problem with Laust Olsen because he was very, very slow. Oh, he cut the chicane. So he's fallen down numerous positions. He is in 11th, unfortunately.
Take a look at this battle. Look at the chaos that we got going on here. This is Ardo Yamaki with a great opportunity on Bambala, but he had to lift a little bit because Bambala was coming back down to the apex of the corner. He's going to look to the inside. I think Bambala's low on top speed, Joe.
He must have hit one of the curbs as they go side by side into the backstretch chicane. Yamaki gets into second. This is Mukanos has caught him now.
And Bambala's gone to the high side.
Yeah, he has to have some sort of damage or something. He got up to about 160 that time, coming up around NASCAR 3 and 4.
And right behind these guys is a battle for the 5th position as well. That is with Jamie Hall battling with Michael Houghton.
Also having a little bit of connection issues too. I saw him blink out on my screen. Let's hope that sorts itself out as they try and go by Lucente. He almost a side swipe, and that sends Houghton into a near spin. He catches the car somehow and gets it going once again.
Yeah, but he has some pretty decent right side damage to the right rear arrow. That's going to be very problematic for him when he gets onto the... Oh, man, look at him try and save that. When he gets back onto the banking, though, that's going to be a problem.
Incredible catch there by the number 8. Well, I said that the bar was set pretty high. I'd say that the Camel Series has brought their pole vault today because this is some incredible action, and we're yet to have really a major incident. Everybody's really recovered from what could be some frightening scenarios on track.
Yeah, and this is the action that we see at the Roval. This is why I love this place. It's surprisingly fine.
We did have a big one for Rob Olenek on the backstretch. I'm not sure how this happened, but that car is expired. The engine's smoking.
Oh, it was a slow car who was weaving.
That was Lucente. Oh, he was trying to let him through. How bizarre.
This is a very odd incident. You're going to see it come up faster than you could probably react here. Watch him come up to Lucente, and Lucente looks like he's trying to get around. Looks like he's trying to let Rob go by. That is just extremely dangerous.
Well, why is he so slow? You can see he's already approaching him very quickly. Yeah, he needs to pick a line.
Yeah, he didn't pick a line. He didn't go to the apron, and that just ends Rob Olenik's day. Rob is not going to be happy about that in the forum.
And that looked like our leader that was getting through right at that time, Fabian Gerber. But this is our leader in the GTOs, Dennis Neidhart. He's pulled about a gap of about 4 seconds, it seems, to Phil Lake, continuing to chase. We've heard the GTO drivers mention before, Adam, that once the Nissans come through, it tends to split up their battles.
It definitely does, and it looked like Michael Houghton was not happy with Dennis Neidhart. He gave him a little bit of a brake check going through NASCAR 1 and 2, so it looks like Michael Houghton not happy about the spin that he had off of the nose of Neidhart. In the GTP class, we got a fight between...
Michael
Houghton... Sorry, go ahead. I was just going to report that Michael Houghton went around.
Houghton's in the pits. How did he wind up in the pits?
He cut the track to get to the pits, Joe. He spun off of the final chicane. And now Jamie Hall is around as well. A lot of chaos happening here late in the race.
Spins to the inside. Now, he could have taken back to the racetrack. I'm not sure why he went in pit lane. Hall's spin happened almost at the same time, and this was a little bit different. He loses the car under braking with Kivipuro in front of him and manages to just halt it before the tire barrier.
That's a good recover from him. It's a tough break, but at least he didn't collect any damage from that.
As all this has been happening, Ardo Iamaki and Nick Mukanos looking to try and settle out second place. And Mukanos, another driver, having a little bit of connection issues. Of course, the internet under quite a bit of strain right now with a lot of people being on, so not surprised that we're getting some blinking.
Oh, look at this. They're going past Jeremy Swain, who's taking the outside. That's a good move from him just to stay out of the racing line as these fast guys go through. But Ardo Iamaki is now catching the back of Fabian Gerber for the lead as well. These battles are separated by about the same amount of time as they enter NASCAR 1 and 2.
Yeah, it's about 1 second from Gerber to Iamaki to Mukanos. Now, they've got a little bit of respite from the traffic. They've got Alcade in front of them. And then not a lot.
Joe, we've had
onto the banking.
We've had an incident in P10 in the GTPs as they're going through the middle of the GTO traffic. It's getting chaos, and there's more contact. Kenny Engstrom and Pablo Suarez around.
Parked in an awkward place. Don't go over the flowers, guys. They work hard on those. Thankfully, they're able to get it turned around. Let's see exactly how this started. You had taken us to it just in time. Laust Olsen also involved as they were trying to overtake Phil Lake.
Yeah, Laust Olsen got held up by Phil Lake and Juco La Scala, and that is what ended up causing that incident.
It always struck me as interesting that NASCAR did not put any sort of barrier in front of that flower bed. I wonder at what point are we going to get a poor NASCAR plowing through the daisies, unfortunately. Ooh, and what happened? Oh, that looks like that's the same damage that Engstrom has had that we're looking at now live.
Yeah, Joe, you know how I said I expected chaos today? This is exactly... Well, this is actually a little bit more than I was expecting. Like you said, they brought out their pole vault. Things are going crazy. We're giving our director a real workout here as we take a look at the battle for a second. This is between Ardo Iamaki and Nick Mukanos and the GTPs. They're going to go to the inside of Johan Robinson and Martin Krajcik, and they're going to make both of those work. Krajcik's going to have to cut the course to try and avoid it.
Great call by Krajcik to see that coming and just bail out. So they stay together in this battle. Iamaki still in second ahead of Mukanos, and you can see more traffic up in front. This is Alice Scurry now dealing with a damaged car. Then they'll immediately hit up Hideki Koivisto in front. One gets to the inside and two just before they get to the right-hander. Now it's going to start to weave back and forth, though. This is where we saw two cars spin to the inside. And Koivisto, he's just going to hold his racing line. Oh, almost ducking right into Iamaki, who sneaks through.
Yeah, but that's one of those moments where the Audi has to take that line. Otherwise, he's not going to make the corner. He'll end up in the outside wall. That's just one of those moments. Oh, here we go. Here comes the pass. It looks like Nick Mukanos trying to go to the outside. He's not going to get it done. But look at that, Ardo Iamaki going over the curbs. It's going to be tight.
Much better line for Iamaki as we ride on board with Mukanos. And don't look now. All this back and forth fighting has allowed Van Bella, with his lack of top speed, to close in on them. As they come across the line once more. The next one up is not going to be until Fabio Iati, who is way up the road. So this has actually been a bit of a boon for Iamaki. Let's hop down to the battle for third in the GTOs, because Miller and Luscala are still duking it out.
Yeah, and while they're duking it out, there was an incident with Bryce Calusa and one of the other Audis, but here we go. Pass almost happening there with Luscala and Miller.
A little bit of a look to the inside, but nothing doing. Yuko is holding Miller back for the time being, but much more aggressive over the curbs. Reed Miller finding some great exit speed coming out of the final, not the final chicane, but the backstretch chicane. The draft allowing him to close in, and he's going to look to the inside, but once again, just can't quite find it.
Yeah, and while that battle's happening, Nick Makanos and Arno Iamaki and Bambella have been very close together still. And look at these. We got two different battles on track, more than two. We're just showing you the ones we can show you right now. They're very, very close.
Yeah, as we jump up to Bambella continuing to try and chase. Oh, and a little bit of traffic giving an advantage to Mukanos. Finally gets into P2.
Makanos, after being patient behind Arno Iamaki, able to make it past Arno Iamaki through that first turn as Arno got a little bit loose on the car and had to get off the throttle. That made him slow through turn one, and that made Nick Makanos able to get by.
Let's head back to that battle in the GTOs between the Finn and Reed Miller. La Scala is going to be held up slightly with Johnny Bell sneaking through. This is going to be a boon to Reed Miller. We saw him start to close with a little bit of better top end in the slipstream. Can he get it again? He's farther back this time. He's starting to gain. You can see the gap coming down as we look over his dashboard. But still, he's got to wait patiently. They're going to be overtaken by Fonseca. Oh, and a great exit. Peek to the inside, down into Heartburn turn, but not quite there.
All right, so here comes Fonseca. Fonseca's going to have to find his way through this battle. He's going to try and find an opportunity here. Look at this, Reed Miller being defensive here against the GTP just to make sure that he didn't get his inside line taken away. And here comes Pascal Makula, who's trying to pass Carlos Fonseca as well. And then they have Fabian Gerber, the leader of the GTP, is trying to get by as well. So this is going to hold up everybody as Reed Miller off track. He's going to make contact with the wall.
Oh, at least it was a glancing blow, but it looked like as soon as he hit that grass, he was skating off into a one-way ticket ride with an accident. Let's watch on board.
Yeah, and this is just one moment where he knew that the GTPs were coming and he had to go back to the outside. But as we come back, we're going to have to take a look at the battle for the lead in the GTPs because Nick Makanos is caught up to the back of Fabian Gerber.
Arno Iamaki is in pit lane. He's had a spin. Why is he in there? Let's see.
He had major contact before the spin too, Joe.
Yeah, I'm seeing the damage now. I'm trying to figure out, oh, this happens into, well, oh my goodness, multiple incidents happen. He gets shoved into the outside wall with Bambella about 60 seconds before this, so it looks like we won't be able to get the replay because it was quite a while ago.
Well, the reason,
whatever the case, the end result is Iamaki has DNF'd.
Well, the reason we're not going to be able to get that replay is because this battle for the lead is very tight between Fabian Gerber and Nick Makanos. This is Nick Makanos' best opportunity to win that he has had since jumping into the GTP in this season. Nick, very, very close to the back of Fabian Gerber, who's being held up by Carlos Fonseca. Nick, oh man, gets very close to the wall on the exit here. But look at that, Fabian Gerber and Nick Makanos very quick here. Carlos Fonseca taking to the high side, letting these two by.
Very, very close. He may have actually brushed it. Fonseca going to let the leaders through, but look at this. Here's Phil Lake and Johnny Bell in front of them. Two different classes once again. Lake just going to stay low, and Gerber's able to get through. A whole different beast, though, lapping their own class. Is Bell going to be aware of the situation? These are the leaders coming through, and they gain a lot of time here into the break-in of the final chicane.
Wow, watch at those lines Fabian Gerber and Nick Makanos take. It's beautiful to see these GTPs navigate this tight surface as there goes Johnny Bell out to the outside, letting this battle go. Good on him for doing that. But man, it's awesome to see these guys weave this car through this tight surface.
That's that seasons of experience for Johnny Bell, to see them coming and knowing exactly where to place the car. One thing I love about this infield too, we'll see here, there is a lot of elevation change. You rarely see that on a Roval course. But these cars experience it a lot, especially in this portion right here.
Yeah, the GTPs really struggle to get the power down as they get back onto the banking. But once they do, they really take off like a rocket. Fabian Gerber, a much better exit there than Nick Makanos. But now they're catching up to Juha Ialainen and Dennis Neidhart, who Juha Ialainen's a lap GTP. Dennis Neidhart, the leader in the GTOs.
Ialainen tried to bide his time, and unfortunately that backs him up into our two GTP leaders. Watching from the gearbox of Neidhart, here comes Gerber. And, oh no, please don't go three wide, guys. Okay, there we go. as looks like Ihalainen is going to be aware of the situation and let them through, thankfully.
That was a good...
So he clatters the curbs in the process.
Yeah, Ihalainen letting them through, that's a good move. And here, look at this, Martin Krajcik letting them through as well. Oh no, Nick McConnell's going to take a 3 wide here. Oh man, Dennis Neidhart backing out of it. Very good move from him, as Antonio Alvarez was also involved in that almost 3 wide incident. But Nick McConnell, he's taking no chances. This is his best chance to win. He's going to go get it, Joe.
Certainly fighting hard for it. Both of these drivers have been in this series for a long time at this point. They know how it works out here, and they've got 15 minutes left to go. We've already passed the halfway point, so still a bit left, but not much. Interesting to note that Bambella, even with his lack of top end, he's still holding on to third in all of this craziness.
Yeah, Bambella is a very strong driver. We know this. He clearly got some under tray damage that's been affecting his top speed, and his car is for sure struggling significantly right now. But holding on to that third position is a mean feat, considering Jamie Hall and Stephen Warkup are pretty fast drivers, as well as Tobias Gerber in 6th who are chasing him down.
Apologies to fans of the GTO class. There really is no battles left there, especially up at the front of the field. Neidhart has gapped Phil Lake by 11 seconds and has not looked back. We take a little bit of a glance at him.
Yeah, Dennis, very, very strong right now, gapping Phil Lake by that 6.5 seconds that you talked about. So just a very, very strong drive from him today. He's still holding it together, and there's plenty of time to get involved in something, and there it is! There's the something that I talked about. He manages to save it. That was very close, but that was contact with Tobias Gerber, I believe.
It's a good thing he had that gap, and he almost makes more contact with Mikula trying to go through.
Oh, man.
See, we got the replay here. This happens in the infield in turn 4. So, let's see. I actually didn't get to get to see this live because I was keeping an eye on our GTP leaders who are continuing to remain close.
Yeah, and that was just a very tight moment there, and Dennis Neidhart managing to save it. That could have sent him into the inside barrier. But the GTP leaders, like you said, still battling very close right now. Nick McConos has caught back up to the back of Fabian Gerber and actually tried to pass as they went back onto the banking into 1 and 2. This past time did not work out for him, but Nick McConos, he's definitely not done. Here they come, back up to the back of Alice Scurry and Martin Krajcik.
On the 007 cam, looking at Mukanos. This is where it gets tricky trying to overtake these GTOs. Alice sees it, lets them through. Fabian Gerber holding on to the lead. Next up is going to be Krajcik lapping in their own class. I see Stephen Warkup into pit lane. We'll go and take a glance at what happened there later. But look at this. Lacking top end. Maybe Gerber himself has hit the curbs a little too hard because Mukanos gaining quickly on the oval portion. Is he going to be able to make the pass here in NASCAR 3 and 4? He's launching out of the backstretch chicane.
Wow, what a good move there. Fabian Gerber getting a little bit loose coming out of the corner. Nick McConos into the lead handily here. This is an amazing development for him. He's been struggling so much in late seasons. Nick McConos to the lead.
From 4th on the grid, the number 14 car is going to get a handy dose of iRating today if he can keep it here. Oh, but look at this traffic up in front slowing down. That's Krajcik trying not to hold up Koivisto. He pulls out of the way of the leaders. Koivisto staying to the outside in 3 and 4. Gerber eyes an opportunity that he can't quite take advantage of. This is when he needs to be quick in this infield portion if he really is slow in a straight line.
And Nick McConos now has 8.6 seconds up to Fabio Lodi, who's a lap GTO. He's got free track here as they go onto the banking. And we saw a spin happening there just in the background. I believe that was...
Is that Lake? No, that was Bryce Calusa. So that was him having an issue. He was just out braking himself in Heartburn turn. Oh, no, he was trying to avoid Ihalainen. Excuse me. So Ihalainen spun in front of him, and poor Bryce had to actually glance the outside wall to try and avoid it. That was bizarre.
While we've been watching this battle, Tobias Gerber actually just got passed by Fabian Jungbluth on the infield for the 5th position. And here they are still battling as they get back onto the banking here. but Tobias Gerber got pushed extremely wide by, I believe it was Phil Lake. We're going to take a look at this.
Jungbluth has been making some great inroads, by the way. Started 10th here. Oh, and there's the off track.
Yeah, that was... Tobias got pushed wide by Phil Lake here, I believe, because Phil washing out. This is what I was talking about before the race, Joe. Phil just washed out towards the outside of the track there under braking, and that's what pushed Tobias Gerber offline into the gray, and that pushes him out there, and he just got into the grass.
Both cars sporting some damage, but down to the inside. Here comes Tobias Gerber. Can he get it done, though? Not with the traffic in the way. That was Bryce Calusa, who I mentioned earlier, just trying to stay offline and let them through, but it held up Gerber much more than it did Jungbluth.
We actually have a three-way battle for a position in GTP right now. This is for 12th. They go four wide as they go into the chicane. I can't believe what I just saw, Joe. Pascal Michalusa and Antonio Alvarez still side by side. I can't believe that.
Johnny Bell into 12th place with a brilliant move. Just phenomenal. Alvarez and Mikula still battling side by side as we go to replay, but that's going to wind up with Mikula taking the position. Let's watch this with Alice to the outside, looking at 4 wide, and Johnny Bell comes out the best of the 4.
I just about lost my mind watching that. I expected a massive accident, and all of them managed to make it through. The racing standards in this race have been absolutely phenomenal.
I'll tell you something. We've actually earned a reputation with Alex Horn, who puts together the highlight reels each month, that the Camel Series almost always has something, multiple somethings to give him. And I have a feeling that is going to be sent in pretty soon. Less than 10 minutes left to go. And our leader is Nick Mukanos in the prototypes, Dennis Neidhart in the GTOs. It has been non-stop here today in Charlotte.
Dennis Neidhart with a 10-second lead, and it has not been without incident. Dennis Neidhart almost getting spun a couple of times here, and now he's got a battle for that 5th position right up behind him. They're going to almost split him here, and yes, they are, as Tobias Gerber goes to that bottom side. Dennis Neidhart, he just can't get out of trouble. The man is still holding on to a 10-second lead, and he's been almost thrown off the track multiple times today.
Gerber staying with it, though, seeing if he can get by. And looks like we got a little bit of squabbling happening. Kitty Engstrom voicing what sounds like some displeasure over the radio.
Oh, take a look at this. An inside pass move. Oh, that's going to work. Wow, what a great move there.
Man, strong on the binders for the number 16. Remember, at one point, he was looking at potentially podiums here. So Tobias wants to get himself back in the game as he sneaks by Jungbluth once more. Now, is Jungbluth going to be able to regain on the fast portions? Let's watch and see.
Jungbluth just struggling a little bit on those tires. We're 8 minutes to go. This 40-minute race has felt quite a bit longer, Joe, and I'm sure the drivers are feeling the exact same things. 42 cars on this track is not a small amount, and we've already lost about 12 of them, so it's a tough moment here.
All right, let's see the speed difference. Looks like, yeah, quite a bit of advantage, actually, for Tobias Gerber. Maybe about 5 miles an hour. We'll catch it once again as they go by Robinson down on the low side. I tell you what, you talked about what feels like a long time. It feels like we packed, honestly, a 2-hour race into 40 minutes here today with all that's happened.
No kidding. Also, that's Al Scurry, who's slow off track. She's still in 7th place, given all of her problems, so just a good, consistent run from her. But Tobias Gerber, for sure, is gone, and you can definitely tell why. Tobias has a very clean GTP, whereas Fabian Jungbluth has quite a few dents in that thing.
You know, I mentioned it earlier as we check on Mukanos here, our leader in the prototypes, that it's not about raw speed in this series. It's about traffic management. It's about staying out of trouble. And I think Banbella is discovering that, who was our pole sitter, still sitting in 3rd.
Yeah, Banbella, I'm pretty sure he's not a new driver to the service, but a great new driver to the series. We haven't seen him race this before, so he's coming up on, that is Sousa Silva and Raba, who are not battling for position right there. But Bambella just, after taking his damage, being very consistent here, and he's still only 6 seconds behind Fabian Gerber.
Meanwhile, we got a little bit of a battle. Oh, and Suarez, well, not a battle. He's off track. Oh, no.
Yeah,
He's
Pablo Suarez
smacked the wall.
Yeah, he got stuck up behind Dennis Neidhart. That got him offline. He clipped the inside grass and then hit the outside wall here. Oh, that's a hard hit.
Well, the good news is he realized what had happened. He kept out of the way because there was a lot of cars coming in, and then he pulled it off into a safe space. Wow, a lot of arm on the right.
No, Jamie Hall!
What's with Jamie Hall?
This is a major incident that happened ahead of him.
Krajcik involved, Raba involved, and then looks like Silva as well.
Oh my goodness! This started with Krajcik and Raba.
Krajcik. Mm-hmm. Oh, Raba was trying. It was netcode as well. Krajcik woed up in time because Raba was just trying to take his racing line, and just the woes of the internet caused a little bit of contact that shouldn't have registered. Oh, Lake looks like he could have gotten through there. I'm not sure why he plowed into them. Well, or Hall, yeah, rather, I should say.
Yeah, Hall looks like I just don't think he thought that it was going to block the entire track like that. But as we're watching Phil Lake here in second place, Phil's about 8.5 seconds by. But look at this, Jamie Hall. That front end is gone, Joe.
Well, I mean, the car seems to be driving okay. It's just now we've got an interesting scenario because that battle for fifth between Gerber and Jungbluth will be a battle for fourth. They're going to be gaining a hell of a lot of time on the number 6, but they've only got 5 minutes left to do it. I will be very curious to see if this winds up being a change of positions right at the very end.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting because Jamie Hall is driving a complete disaster of a race car right now, and he is being caught by Tobias Gerber in the likes of 3 seconds a lap.
Jamie Hall's going to have to take that car to the modified race we held last night because he'd fit right in. As we head over to one of the Gerbers here. This is Tobias and the number 16. Let's see what this lap time through is going to be as he comes across the line. It was a 1:11.8 that he ran. Jamie Hall's a 1:18.3. The gap between them right now, 11 seconds. I'll let the audience do the math because we're not totally reliable on that usually.
Basically, I think it's going to be pretty close, Joe.
Yeah, it's going to be quite tight. Hopefully not for Mukanos. The other Gerber, Fabian, is about 3 seconds behind, and that's been ebbing back and forth. The traffic, once again, playing a factor in that. We've seen that Fabian Gerber seems to be a little bit slow on the oval portion because he must have gotten some undertray damage. We can see on the car right here, look at the right front. It's buckled up slightly. So even the bodywork showing a little bit of the war effort that he's gone through.
Yeah, the right front's buckled up, the right rear, right over the right rear wheel is buckled in, and that's going to severely affect you as you go around the banking. That's where you get the most air is on that right rear, and so he's going to have some significant aerodynamic damage. That's what's holding him up here. As Nick Ricanos pulls almost about half a second on Fabian Gerber on these straights.
And actually, I think we're going to be 2 to go at the line here for Mukanos because he's coming around NASCAR 3 and 4 as he goes by more lap traffic. Jeremy Swain, who's running 13th, lets him by. Yes, 2 to go here at the line. Just barely. It's going to be kind of tight. Meanwhile, our leader in the GTOs, also 11 seconds ahead.
Whoa, look at this chaos ahead of him.
Ooh, geez.
Those are all lap cars, and that's Sousa Silva, Alice Scurry, and Jordan Robinson. They were actually battling for position right there. At least Alice Scurry and Robinson were. Dennis Neidhart cutting through this group. He's still been able to survive in the lead this far, but he has lost his... No, he has not lost his 10-second lead. He's actually pulled another second.
Gerber, because the number 16 is now a second back. Not going to be quite as tight as we thought. Poor Jamie Hall limping that car as he comes across his teammate Bryce Calusa in that dirty torque machine. He's not even going to defend. He knows that he just needs to try and get this thing to the checkered flag. Tobias Gerber now up into P4.
That's a miracle that the windshield is even alive on that GTP for Jamie Hall. So he's just trying to get it home. Tobias Gerber up to P4. He's got no real hope of catching Bimbella, who's about 7 seconds ahead. So this will probably be his finishing position, as Jamie Hall got passed by Fabian Jungbluth as well.
White flag is out for Mukanos. He crossed at a 1:05 left on the clock. That is just shy of another lap. So we will be getting the checkered flag next time by. Nick Mukanos, you mentioned it. It's been a while since we've seen him win. I'm trying to remember if we've even seen him win in the prototypes as well. But the number 14 has picked up the torch, and as he comes onto the oval portion of the track, not much left to go for a victory here today.
Yeah, he's going to have to navigate Fabio Lotti as they go through the chicane, but I'm pretty sure that Lotti's been very good here with the lap traffic. Looks like he's just going to sit in right behind Lotti, make sure not to get in any trouble here, wait for Lotti to get off the corner, and then launch it. Yep, Nick Mukanos very, very calm, very decisive there, being very safe. Here he comes down to the final chicane.
A well-earned victory, going from fourth to the lead. Nick Mukanos succeeded where others have failed, and he takes the win here in North Carolina. Putting the hammer down, Dennis Neidhart has managed to get himself another victory, and it's going to be his second of the season here in round 3 with an 11-second gap, while a lot of people had to slow up with the frantic traffic from the GTPs. Seems like the number 4 has not been bothered quite as much as he comes out of the final chicane. The Anvil takes the win here in Charlotte with a stylish flick.
We just had a moment in P10 GTPs. Ryan Lang making it past Johnny Bell in that first chicane. So Ryan Lang's going to take P10 from Johnny Bell there on the final lap.
Not many battles left going. Poor Jamie Hall, he is going to come home in 7th place in the end. Laust Olsen, I said he's good in the races. He climbed back up to 6th after his cut course penalty earlier. So nice job by the number 28. Phil Lake and Yuko Lascala running out the podium on the GTOs. Really didn't get much chance to look at anything for very long. So let's catch our breath here. Let's take a break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews. Stick around for lots more here in the post-race show. Welcome back to Charlotte Motor Speedway. The road course here saw an incredible race in the Kamel GT series. We hyped it up as we're expecting some chaos, and well, this series delivered. Nick Mukanos was the one that took the win in the GTP class. He wasn't that far away from Fabian Gerber. He seemed to lack a little bit of speed. We didn't quite get to catch exactly where he caught his damage, if that was what slowed him down. But he only settled for second place. He still needs a win this season, I'm pretty sure. Enrique Van Bella, newcomer to the broadcast, possibly to the series as well. From the pole to third, at least he still grabs a podium here today. Tobias Gerber jumping up to fourth at the very end, taking advantage of some problems from other drivers. Fabian Jungluth with a top 5 after qualifying in 10th was followed by Laust Olsen, continuing his smooth runs to pick up consistent points. Then you got Jamie Hall, who was one of the ones that wound up getting big damage at the end, unfortunately caught up in a wreck that was not of his own doing, and he went from, I believe, 4th place down to 7th in the last 4 laps. Then Alexis Tapia Vico finished in 8th, first car lap down with Michael Houghton, who could have been looking at a win at one point, but wound up in 9th in the end. Ryan Lang with a top 10 was followed by Johnny Bell. Incredible moments going 4 wide into the chicane and coming out the other side. And 11th was his reward from that. Pascal Mikula in 12th place was followed by Jeremy Swain in 13th. Carlos Fonseca was P14, and Nick Weatherby, the last of, I think, our finishing GTPs, in 15th. Good luck playing hopscotch with the rest of the field here, Adam.
Thank you. Dennis Neidhart comes home with the win in the GTOs. A hard-fought win as he dealt with a lot of traffic that really was trying to move him out of the way. Phil Lake just was unable to catch him. 12 seconds back, comes home in second place, with Juco La Scala coming home in third. Reed Miller, Mr. Consistency, another top 5 for him, coming home in 4th position. Antonio Alvarez was a DNF from the GTPs. Fabio Lotti comes home in 5th position in the GTOs with Hideki Koivisto in 6th. Jordan Robinson comes home in 7th place, with Alice Scurry, after all of her damage, coming home in 8th. A good recovery drive for her. Martin Kraytrick, another one of our drivers who had trouble. He was still running by the end, but way down the order in the GTPs. Miguel Alcalde comes home in the 9th position, with Mauricio Sousa Silva in the 10th position. And then you get Pablo Suarez and Juliel Kramer, who were DNFs in the GTPs as well, with Bryce Calusa in the 11th position in GTOs. And then the rest from there on out were pretty much DNFs, Joe.
So let's talk to our winner in the prototype class, Nick Mukanos. Nick, I don't even know where to start, because I don't know about from your perspective. From ours, we could not catch our breath all race long. What was it like in the car?
That was one of the craziest races I think I've done. This track is something else, and I knew it was going to come down to traffic and not getting damage, and that's exactly what ended up happening.
Wow. So, okay then. Talk to us about seeing, especially before the race, because that had to have been interesting. Are you familiar with Enrique Van Bella? We have not really seen that name before, as far as we can tell, and he was half a second quicker than the rest of the field. Did that raise your eyebrows at all?
New people coming in being fast is always a surprise, but I don't know. He looks like a good driver. Hopefully he sticks.
So this, when was the last time you managed to take a victory in the prototype, especially on a broadcast, if at all? Because we were trying to rack our brains on the stats on that one.
Yeah, I've won in the Audi a couple times, but this is my first GTP win in VC.
Oh, well, congratulations then. That was a fantastic job by you to keep out of trouble and keep your speed up. Anybody you'd like to thank for the victory?
Just Dirty Torque. We all help each other out, keep improving, and you guys for the awesome broadcasts and everyone who helps VCR. It's a lot of fun. It's my favorite thing to do on iRacing, and definitely be.
California driver taking the win here at the opposite coast in Charlotte. That was Nick Mukanos, our winner. Adam Lindgren going to be talking to Phil in and around the lake, who took a second place over here on the GTOs.
Yeah, Phil, Nick Mukanos was able to keep himself out of trouble and take the win as your teammate, but it looks like you did not have the same amount of luck staying out of trouble today, but still a second place. What was it like out there?
It's very difficult. I don't like to say tracks are unsuitable for multi-class, but I'm very close to saying that about this place. It's really, really crazy difficult in the traffic. I think not taking anything away from Dennis because he had crazy pace today, and I think even without Nissans he would have beaten me. But I lost so much time the first time the leaders came through, and then I just thought just survive to the end really.
Yeah, and you did survive to the end, but I believe that you had a moment going into the chicane where you were coming up on some wrecked cars and you managed to snake by. You got some front end damage off a couple of those incidents. What was the hardest place on the track to deal with multi-class today?
Everywhere really. I think the easiest places were turn one and breaking into the last chicane if they cleared you before the turn in. Everywhere else was just awful. Particularly the complex before you get back onto the oval, because the Audi's kind of switching sides of the track there, and you need to hit the apex, run right out to the wall, back to the left side again, and then back up to the wall is the normal line. And when you've got Nissans behind, they're a lot faster through that section, and you have to. I was trying to leave them a car's width on the outside, but I think a lot of people weren't. Kind of didn't trust me that I was going to leave them the space, so they would look for it and then wait, and then you end up going through 3 corners instead of one, with a Nissan kind of waiting to go past, and it just cost a lot of time. It's a tough track.
It definitely is, Phil, but you managed to come home in the second position. Is there anyone you want to thank today?
Just the Dirty Talk guys again. It's great having a load of people to practice with every week, and we all push each other to get better. And you guys, of course.
Well, thanks for joining us, Phil, and we're glad to see you doing consistently well again, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Yeah, see you there.
That was Phil Lake, our second place finisher in the GTOs, and we have Fabian Gerber, who is our second place finisher in the GTPs, talking with Joe.
Absolutely, and I'll ask the same question that I asked Nick here, Fabian. You have a driver that we're not as familiar with who suddenly shows up and smokes the field in qualifying. Does that make you at all worried?
I'm not sure. I don't know if he's here for good or if he's just jumping in because he knows the track really well. I don't know. But of course, it's always nice to have new people, especially when they're fast. So they make stuff more interesting. It's not something I worry about too much.
So let's talk about the race then. We are very curious as if to our analysis was right. It seemed like you lacked top speed at the end. Did you get some damage from some curves?
No, it was an Audi actually. He hit me really hard in turn 2, I think that was. I was already on his side and he just turned in and hit me really hard. Maybe you couldn't see the damage, but I had heavy damage on the right side, so I lost a lot of top speed. Yes, it was actually really frustrating because it looked like really that I could win this one.
Yeah, I'm sure it was a little bit of an annoyance, but we did see a little of that damage on the right front when we hopped on board at one point, so we didn't realize it was that significant. Next week is going to be at Watkins Glen at the Classic Boot layout. So are you looking forward to a little bit more room to stretch your legs out?
Oh yes, very much. It's going to be much better than this one here.
Awesome stuff. So, well, commiserations that you couldn't take the victory. Still a podium, another podium, actually, I should say, to continue to rack up points. And obviously, this will help you chasing down Justin Albrecht, who we didn't see today. So hopefully we'll get to talk to you next week.
I hope so, too. See you next week, guys. Bye-bye.
We're having some debate behind the screens. If we've got one more, let's see what the director says. All right, looks like Adam has indeed caught up with Michael Houghton, so let's see what he's got to say about this race.
Yeah, Michael, just an unfortunate race for you. You were the victim of a multi-class incident there going through the infield, the first portion of the infield there. But talk to me about the multi-class action today. It was a tough one out there, wasn't it?
It certainly was. I mean, I had to find new ways how to pass some of those Audis, and when I had that incident and dropped back to last, I mean, it was the fight of a lifetime to get back to the top 10.
Yeah, you clawed your way through that field pretty efficiently after taking that pit stop. And I saw you spitting into the infield and then going into your pits. Did you get a penalty from that as well?
I did. It was a 40-second penalty. The reason why that happened was because I think I got into it with an Audi. It was a small little touch, and it skewed my wheel to where it was, 20 degrees to the left on the straights. So yeah, that definitely had that was the cause of the problem.
So I asked Phil this question. He was in the GTO, but I want to ask you because you were in the GTP. What was the hardest place to pass today on this really difficult track?
I would say the infield and the last corner before coming back onto the oval. Those were definitely the two toughest spots because the Audi wants to track out, and you don't know whether you should, go on the outside or go low. It's tough.
Well, Michael, even though it wasn't the greatest race for you, you still got that top 10 finish. Is there anyone you want to thank today?
No, just you guys and the Dirty Torque fellas. Thank you guys for continuing on doing these streams. It really does take away from all this coronavirus situation that's happening. So yeah, thank you guys for doing this, and yeehaw!
Thank you for talking to us, Michael, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week.
Our director was trying to, that was Michael Houghton who DNF'd today. Our director was trying to be ready on the volume for his yeehaw. It wasn't as loud as his other ones, thankfully. So we're going to close up with some thank yous. A big one to the Kamel community as well for bringing us back for another season of coverage. I'm so glad that we keep coming back because this has been some of the most fun races we get to call. Also, thanks to the companies that provide the software and the hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. And additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for Atticus Voldemort for great work. Thanks to the team today, Adam, Sean, and Doug. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Also, check out our social media. Our Twitter is @GSR Channel, Facebook is Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram is GSRC_Graham. If you'd like to support us, we've also got a merchandise store. It is gsrc.storenv.com, but we've got a link in the description below where, while you're down there, make sure and subscribe to the channel. You'll know if you're not subscribed because there'll be a big red button that says subscribe, and all you got to do is click it. The next race, as we mentioned, in a week's time, we're heading out to Watkins Glen. That'll be Saturday, April 4th, I believe, as I failed to put that on my sheet. There it is, yes, on your screen. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard, see you on the track.